Attention, this is an announcement for all Armstrong School District parents. There are new immunization requirements for the 2011-2012 school year. If your child's immunizations are not up to date, they will not be permitted to attend school after April 24, 2012. If you have already updated your child's vaccines, it is very important to share this information with your school nurse as soon as possible. You may call your school nurse directly or complete the notice you received in the mail and return it to your child's school. The nurses need to have record of the dates your child's vaccines were updated by April 24, 2012, or they will not be permitted to attend school. All students, kindergarten through 12th grade, need 2 doses of varicella, the chickenpox vaccine, unless your child has already had the disease. Also, all students entering 7th grade have to have their Tdap and 1 dose of MCV. For a complete list of required immunizations, please visit the Armstrong School District website and click on the New Immunizations Requirements tab at the bottom left-hand corner of the page.
Welcome to Education Today. I'm Lexi Benvenuti.
And I'm Zach Blevins from Armstrong School District. Today we are going to talk about issues that every student, school, staff, and faculty at every level has to deal with and be properly prepared for. As educators, our main concern and objective is to ensure a safe and structured learning environment for our students. Outside of the obvious is bullying, which can occur in a variety of different ways. There are also a variety of different issues that any given student may be dealing with.
To help educate our students and parents, tonight we will be discussing a number of different topics related to these concerns. We have with us 2 of Armstrong School District own guidance counselors to walk us through some of the things that they see and how to prepare and help students work through them. Welcome to Education Today.
Thank you.
Would you please introduce yourselves and your current roles with the district?
My name is Corinne Lankus. I'm the guidance counselor at Katanning Senior High School. I've been with the district for 5 years.
My name is David Zablocki. I'm a guidance counselor here at Katanning Junior High School, and I've been with the district for 8 years.
As counselors, you're trained to help in many different situations that some people may not think of. What kinds of issues are you trained to deal with?
Well, we're trained to deal in 3 different areas: academic concerns, personal social concerns, and career concerns. So we are trained through a master's program to be able to help students in all 3 of those areas.
Yeah, what those fall under is the American School Counselor Association. They established those criteria, and those are the programs that guidance counselors go to in the master's program. That's where they fall into under a national standards that are set forth by the ASCA group.
Are there state requirements or standards that require school districts to have support groups in place in the buildings?
Yes, in the state of Pennsylvania, there's a program called the Student Assistance Program, or SAP team. Some folks may have known it as ESS, Educational Support System. The SAP program, again, is a state-mandated program, so it's funded by the state of Pennsylvania. And it's a program that's in every school to help identify student concerns. And the main goal of a SAP team is to remove barriers to student success. And the SAP team goals correlate with those as we do as a counselor to work on any concerns that are personal, social, academic, behavioral, drug and alcohol, mental health. So there's a lot of different avenues through the SAP team, which is a program that you'll find in schools across the state. Some schools may call it different things like a core team or something like that, but at least at Katanning Senior High School we call it our SAP team.
Yeah, I think across the board in our district, at the secondary schools, it's considered the SAP team, the Student Assistance Program, as Mrs. Lincoln's mentioned. In the elementary program, it's very important because oftentimes we don't have guidance counselors in our elementary programs, but the SAP team really heads off a lot of those the issues that those children may be encountering. And I believe at the elementary program they call it the ESS program, and it's very very effective at that grade level in the elementary programs.
I know that there are different groups in each building that are designed as mentoring and mediating and things of that nature. What do our schools offer?
Well, at the senior high level, we do a lot of that through the SAP team. We can get students that are referred. They can be referred. You can do a self-referral. Other students, teachers, the counselors, parents sometimes call to do a referral. And we work as a team, and our team consists of teachers, the nurse, the counselors, the principals, who work together to identify what concerns might be and to help connect a student with some resources. So that's one program that we have through the senior high to assist in those concerns.
At the junior high, we actually we have the same programs with teachers, with the counselor, myself, the principal. Along with that, we have a mentoring program. What we did was the SAP team established a group of other students throughout 7th and 8th grade to help in the event that maybe someone needs a little extra support as a student. And we're very cautious with how we pair students up with other students, and maybe the needs there. It's a need-based program as well. So we actually have a mentoring program. We've had peer mediating in the past, and depending on the training and the circumstances, but this year we're utilizing the mentoring program here at the junior high, and currently it's running fairly well.
How did they form, and who makes up these groups?
At the junior high level, as I said, oftentimes the SAP team actually polls the teachers, asks them who they would recommend as students. We're looking for students of high character, who are doing well in their classes, who kind of have things together, so to speak. And a lot of times that may not be the only criteria. They also have to have personal skills as well. So the SAP team will interview a group of kids, and we may eliminate some students through the course of that interview, and some students eliminate themselves by saying, look, I don't feel comfortable mentoring another student, or I don't feel comfortable in that position, doing that. So that's how we establish our mentoring program, and who's going to be a mentor and who won't be a mentor. So that's how we establish it here.
Have you found that these groups are useful? In other words, are the students using them for their intended purposes?
At the junior high, absolutely. We are noticing that we are having some success with students mentoring other students. A lot of times, I find here at the junior high level, since it's only 7th and 8th grade, that 7th and 8th graders sometimes feel that only things that are happening in their world. And I as an adult, I just don't understand. And oftentimes, even though I have kids, they feel that you just don't understand, and that's whenever the mentoring program really comes into play, and it helps out those kids to someone to bounce things off of. And it's very strictly confidential. The mentor, it goes through a confidential training process, and they're well aware that they have to keep everything in confidence and sign consent forms and so on.
I think Mr. Zablocki touched on an important point, which is confidentiality. I think it's important to know that through the SAP team, the mentoring programs, everything is confidential. The only time things would not be confidential are in terms of immediate health and safety and welfare of a student or of someone else. But otherwise, those are all confidential. Students that are referred, reasons they are referred, it's not anyone else's business. It's just there to help the student. I think that's an important point to make.
To go along with that, what makes this program important enough that parents should realize its significance?
Well, for the SAP team, I think it's very important for parents to understand what we're able to offer in terms of connections through a mental health liaison from family counseling, and also a connection with a liaison from the Armstrong Indiana Drug and Alcohol Commission, who can do an assessment of a student's needs and then make any kind of treatment referral if that were to be needed. And sometimes that intervention really can make a big difference, and we've seen a lot of success stories come out of those interventions. Or the intervention that we identified that a student's having a hard time, and we as a SAP team can work together to support. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, how you doing in the hall, or letting the student know that people are there who care for them in a way that maintains that confidentiality and doesn't make them feel as though they're being singled out. But we try to disseminate information to parents. on January 12th at 1 o'clock in the administration building. We're going to have a presentation on the SAP team. So I would invite parents to visit the Armstrong School District website to learn more information about the program and to attend that. Myself, two of our school psychologists from the district, as well as our liaison from the Drug and Alcohol Commission, who's also a state STAP certified trainer, will all be there to present information on the SAP team process, what it is and what it can do, and to answer any parent questions.
Also to note that, to kind of go off what Mrs. Lincoln said, not only are teachers, guidance counselors, principals part of the SAP team, we rely on a host of people, whether it be cafeteria workers, whether it be janitors, custodians, bus drivers. A lot of times someone may pick up on something that a student's having a difficult time with. All those folks can make referrals to the SAP team. A parent, anybody, they can all refer the student to the SAP team, and that's what's really important. I think parents should really know that it's not just the teachers looking at the child. It's the cafeteria workers that when they come through the line, maybe they can see a difference in them, because maybe it's the custodian walking down the hall, they see a difference in them. A school bus driver, when they pick them up, they see a difference in them. And referrals can come from a host of people, and I really think that parents should know that we are all kind of looking out for the child and for their children. So,
Well, students have ways of calling for help, and even though it may not seem to others or even themselves that is the case, what are some of the warning signs that some people may be giving off?
Some of the things, to go back to it with the SAP team, when a student's referred to the SAP team, we send out a behavioral checklist to teachers. And these are observable behaviors. Some of them involve academics. Have we noticed a drop in grade? Not completing homework assignments? Are they making frequent visits to the restroom, to the nurse, to the counselor? Are they sleeping in class? Has their personal appearance deteriorated? So there are things like that we look for that may be sometimes missed signs or something that we can become alerted to. So it's important to notice those very subtle things, like perhaps their personal appearance has gone down, or they're not coming prepared for class now, that maybe that's kind of a cry for help, or maybe there's something going on that we need to be alerted to and figure out how to help with.
Yeah, along the same lines, I think in our grades here at the junior high, a lot of times just acting out, maybe not severe violence or anything, but just unusual behavior, a lot of times acting out. A lot of times junior high kids, there's a lot of things going on within their body and in their minds. It's just they're not sure how to properly expose those, and a lot of times acting out is probably one of the biggest behaviors that we see, or the biggest triggers that say, hey, I'm looking for some help here, that's probably one of the biggest.
And some signs may be very overt and some not as much. Some may be very obvious that there's something different and something going on. Sometimes it's things that are very subtle.
Yes.
And it's important that we involve the teachers who see the students every day to get their input and to see what they're observing has changed, and again, how we can explore to work with that and remove any problems that may be in the student's way.
Is there anything else related to these topics that you feel that we should discuss at this point?
I would just really like to stress to parents that every school has a SAP team. Contact your nurse, contact your counselors, get your student involved if you're a parent, if you feel that there is some kind of concern. It's a great way to get some feedback from the teachers and to make connections with some liaisons and people that may be able to help. And it also helps us to raise awareness to that student and that there may be something going on. And two, maybe things at school seem okay, but the parent is seeing something different at home. Maybe the parent seeing that the student doesn't want to go with their friends anymore, or isn't as into something as they used to be. So clearly there's something going on. Maybe it's just a change and a maturing process, but maybe there's something going on. So I encourage parents to please utilize those SAP team services. Please come to the presentation January 12th if they can to learn more information. And don't be afraid to utilize the resources that are available, the counselors, the people in the school who genuinely care for all of the students. We really want to see them do as well as we can, so please use those resources.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Parents may not be aware that SAP team is available. Parents may not be aware that those services are available. And as long as parents know that, I think that's probably the most important thing. They see some changes, especially at this age, the 12, 13, 14 year change. They may be thinking, what in the world's going on? And don't hesitate to call us and talk to us and refer if need be, if they feel that that's the route to take. And we can certainly go through the process of the behavior forms and everything. And if it's unfounded, that's great. And if there's a need for help, then by all means, let's move forward with that. But just the parents being aware of it, that's the important part, I think.
Okay, we are going to take a short break and then come right back to discuss further how to help and prepare yourselves and your students for different things life may throw their way. Stay tuned.
Before I came to IUP, I had no idea what college would be like or what role I would play or where I'd be in the future. But when I came to IUP, everything changed. I met people who really made me feel like I belonged. I had great classes at a great nationally ranked university. Hi, my name is Megan Miller. I'm a fine arts major, and this is my university.
We're back with Armstrong School District's Education Today. Tonight we are discussing how you can prepare yourself and your students for different challenges they may face. We have two of Armstrong School District's guidance counselors joining us, Ms. Corinne Linkus and Mr. Dave Zablocki. In this half of the show, I want to focus on bullying. Bullying can be a huge issue if not dealt with properly. Earlier this year, an assembly at KJHS showed consequences of decisions that lead to some terrible outcomes. Why has bullying become a problem?
Well, bullying's been around for a long time. You know, the old, very common, shoving someone into a locker and things like that. Bullying has really taken on a whole new face and a whole new level now with the technology evolvements that we've had. You know, like when we were in high school, there was no Facebook. Not everybody had cell phones. Even MySpace, which is now, pretty much gone by the wayside. Those kinds of things didn't exist. So it used to be, if someone did maybe get picked on at school, they could go home and kind of maybe escape from it. I hate to put it so casually because they weren't always that case. However, today, you go home and it's all over Facebook, and people are sending videos and sending pictures and sending texts. So it's just really an unending barrage sometimes of bullying that can occur.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is maybe when Mrs. Linkus and I were in school, we're not that old, so it wasn't that long ago. We'd go to school for 6.5 to 7 hours, and maybe we'd deal with some bullying, which I know I encountered. I'm sure Ms. Linkus probably encountered as well. We dealt with it for 6 hours, then we left and we went home, and we didn't have to worry about anybody text messaging us. We didn't have to worry about looking online. It didn't stare us in the face all day. So for 6 hours, we dealt with it, we went home, and we were able to escape it. I don't think there's a way to escape it now, especially with the technology like Mrs. Linkus had said. It's a 24/7 issue, and I think that is the biggest problem as to why it's become such a big problem. It stares you in the face all day. When you leave, it stares you in the face. When you go home at night, it's staring you in the face in the form of Facebook. But I think that's the biggest root of it. It's constantly there as opposed to being able to escape it.
We know that there can be a large impact on the ones being bullied, but in these cases, is one of those signs that the other one conducting the bullying may be acting out for another reason?
Absolutely, and that's a very good question. Sometimes those who are bullying are perhaps feeling some insecurities themselves. Perhaps it's a matter of jealousy. They might be picking on someone or pointing out faults with a person simply because of their own securities or because they're jealous of the achievements or abilities or looks or something of another person. So absolutely, they could be acting out of sheer jealousy and insecurity themselves. Sometimes maybe they feel that it's a matter of control. Maybe there's things going on in life that they don't feel they can control, but boy, that's something that they could. So unfortunately, yes, that could be a way of releasing some other feelings that might be happening.
Yeah, and also it could be a pattern or a cycle. Maybe that person's gotten bullied in the past, and they felt that, you know what, I feel like I have to release this too, and I have to bully someone, as opposed to getting help, talking to someone, stopping the cycle. They oftentimes continue the cycle. So oftentimes the person doing the bullying is either been bullied or does have some insecurities.
What kinds of effects can bullying have on someone?
A lot. It can be psychological. Maybe they start to feel a great deal of they just don't have enough self-esteem anymore. Maybe some depression type symptoms can come forward. You may see some physical symptoms. Someone may eat more, eat less, become more withdrawn. You may see changes in appearance. So there's certainly a lot of very visible and internal signs that someone may be being bullied, maybe a target.
I know in the most extreme cases, obviously, you've seen them on television. Very tragic events could happen. There's suicide. People have gone that far to go to the very extreme. Some students self-mutilation, whether it be cutting. That's often we've seen that before. Those are the most extreme cases, but the eating disorders, that's an extreme case in itself as well. Those are things that we can see or have seen happen as a result of being bullied. So I think that those are the things that we look for, and we try to help out with in curbing those problems.
It used to be bullying was generally something done to someone else in person, but even that has evolved, especially with the emerge of technology and different social media outlets. Let's educate our parents here. Some people may not even think of it, but what kinds of different ways of bullying are out there?
I think Facebook's a big one. Text messaging and cell phones are another. Now if you don't see someone in the hall, but you still have a problem with that person, or you want to instigate something with that person, you will text them. And how many times in a day, even though students are not to have their cell phones on them in school, do students come down upset, in tears, right? Because they just got a text that somebody wants to meet them after school, or somebody's going to do something to them after school. So I see, a lot of those social media sites, while I see great benefit to them, in the school context, they've become such a huge issue, and cell phones the same way. They've just become such a big barrier to students maybe being able to find some escape from bullying.
Yeah, just to go off with what you said, I know I would say roughly the incidents that go on here, or any of the incidents I see at the junior high, I would say 85 to 90% of the incidents that come here or come into my office start on a social networking site such as Facebook, or text messaging, and it happens outside of school and it's brought into school. So I think that the parents definitely need to be aware and monitor closely what is going on with their child's account on Facebook. Monitor closely who they're texting, what's being said in the text. It's a double-edged sword. Obviously parents want their children to be able to communicate, but they, obviously with that ability to communicate, it can go both ways, both positive and negative.
Generally speaking, what state is our district in when it comes to cases involving bullying?
I think that our district takes a very proactive stance on bullying. I know in our school specifically, we've gone into classrooms. I know I've gone into classrooms personally, monthly at times. We take a very proactive stance with bringing in assemblies, addressing that. I know the Yellow Dress Assembly has been in our schools around prom time, I think it is. We just try to educate our students and try to get them to understand that it's just not acceptable. And the difficult part about it is when you educate them in one way, things are advancing so quickly this day and age. Once you find out what's happening, something new is already taking its place, and you try to educate them on what is already happening or what's happened 2 weeks ago in the form of bullying, and something new comes up. So we try to take a proactive stance, I think, in the district, or at least at Katanning Junior High, and it's just an ongoing process. It's constantly evolving to try to tackle the problem.
I want to just ask you one more thing related to the social media. What should parents and students be aware of when using these things as like text messaging and Facebook? Also, what consequences could they be facing if used inappropriately?
That's a very good question. At some point, where does bullying cross the line to harassment? And that's where the police can get involved. You have to be very careful. The things that you post on Facebook, the things that you text, if you're receiving harassing messages, pictures, something like that, keep them, print them, lock your messages. You can turn them over to the police if you feel that you're being harassed. And you have to be careful of that too. If you're someone who is saying something, if you're helping to facilitate somebody else who's being a bully, maybe you're not the direct bully, but you're laughing at it, you're making a comment on it, you have to be very careful, because those things could come back to haunt you if someone would pursue a harassment charge through the police. Keep in mind too, employers, colleges are increasingly looking at your social media pages, and you think you have them private. If they want to see it, they're going to find a way to see it. And we have heard a lot more from employers lately that they'll look for that stuff and they want to see what's going on. So be careful what you have on there, what you post, what you say to other people, because that could come back to haunt you in the long run. And those things in cyberspace can be there for a very long time. So be very thoughtful about what you say and what you do in terms of, whether something crosses the line and becomes a harassment case, or for your own benefit in the future with college and careers.
I know regarding consequences in our school system, it's very difficult for us to do anything. Our hands are really tied if they're doing it outside the school. That's obviously for the authorities to take care of. But one of the big things is I encourage parents, and it's a fine line for parents, and they're not really sure. They want to give their child some freedoms, and I mean they're becoming young adults. That's what I always kind of refer to 7th and 8th graders. They're very young adults. They're going from an elementary age to a teenage age, and they want to give them some freedoms and some space. I encourage parents, and some students maybe watching this may say, "Oh no, be nosy." Parents need to be nosy. They need to know what's going on in their child's life, especially their technological life, with Facebook, with the phone. It's maybe frowned upon by some students, but be nosy. Find out what's going on. It's okay, and it may be a battle. Some students may say, "You don't trust me. You don't this." I do trust you, but I don't know who else is coming in and out of your Facebook page, and I don't know who else is calling you. I don't know any of that. So it's a fine line. It's very difficult as a parent to kind of distinguish and explain to a child, a son or a daughter, or whomever it may be. It's very difficult, but the consequences, I feel, can be even more difficult if need be taken to the authorities. I think it'd be a little bit more difficult to face that as opposed to facing your child and saying, "Hey, show me your Facebook page." So, and another thing parents need to be aware of too is some students have multiple Facebook pages, aliases, and I hate to let the cat out of the bag for some of these kids, but it's something that parents need to be aware of. Kids have multiple Facebook pages, and it's out there. So, and multiple phones as well, believe it or not. So.
Well, that's our show for today. Our thanks go out to Ms. Corinne Linkus and Mr. Dave Zavlocki, two of our district guidance counselors. We know their schedule can be hectic. Our thanks also go out to the TV production students of Katanning High School, led by their teacher, Mr. Don Swanson. They were our film crew today.
As always, DVD copies of this and all Education Today programming may be requested by contacting Chris Garitano, ASD's multimedia technician. Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District. Visit our website for updated information about the district, and have a great week.